Mr. Speaker, can I start by associating myself with all the remarks about Tony Lloyd, who I always found a very good and decent man. Mr. Speaker, once again I'm indebted to the Leader of the House. Her eccentric video last week, joking about Tupperware and the Stone of Destiny, excited quite the response in Scotland. Why is she always on about Scotland, they ask? The Tories have given us a joke minister for common sense. Looks like we now have a minister for clickbait. Scotland does seem just a big joke for her. The brief seems clear to rubbish and insult Scots every week in business questions. Of course, she's not alone. It seems to be Tory policy these days. But she's adding value now by writing full-page articles in the papers about how awful Scotland is, along with a new clickbait video every week. All that effort, Mr. Speaker. Of course, given the very bad news for her party in this week's YouGov poll, maybe these joke videos are in fact auditions. Perhaps not so much stand up and fight as stand-up comedian. Meanwhile, her own government's record is absolutely nothing to joke about. Destitution rising, doctors on strike crippling the English NHS, sea coasts foul with pollution, inhumane treatment of asylum seekers and the breaching of international law, unresolved scandals piling up, and the crushing impact of one of the worst Tory jokes of all, Brexit. But before we're treated to, or I don't know, perhaps an attack on the Scottish Government and praise for the bullish actions of the Zombie Scotland Office, I mean, surely, Mr. Speaker, Scotland can find a better use for what is it now over 12 million quid than funding that ever-expanding propaganda unit, beavering away behind the scenes, undermining the work of the Scottish Parliament, and, of course, assisting the leader with her scripts each week. But closer to this place, we have the Westminster joke of the other place, with its 860 or so ermine-clad peers, but one notable absentee. The leader's Scottish Tory friend and colleague, Baroness Mone, is currently not a sitting member because she's taken a leave of absence by her own choice. It's being reported in the Daily Record. Baroness Mone claims she's still a Conservative. As far as she's concerned, she never had the whip removed. So can the leader confirm that if Baroness Mone resumes her place in the other place, say tomorrow, as she's entitled to do, I believe, she can sit as a Conservative? If not, exactly when was the whip removed? And can she possibly make time to answer that question before her next reading out of this week's hilarious clickbait script?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the Honourable Lady should thank me. I've been giving the Honourable Lady publicity that money cannot buy. And it is, I think it is encouraging that we have generated such a following, such an interest, Mr. Speaker, in what goes on in this chamber at business questions. Let me be clear to the Honourable Lady. I'm not talking Scotland down. I'm talking the SNP down, that have been an unmitigated disaster for Scotland. The stoicism of the Scottish people in dealing with the inept government that they have in Scotland deserves great credit. The Honourable Lady sort of invites me each week to, she talks about our record on delivery and always invites me to make that comparison. Let me try and do so this week without mentioning the appalling record of the SNP, and just invite people to contrast our record with theirs, whether it be on, in the UK, the largest rail infrastructure investment since Victoria times, or massive regeneration projects across the UK, or over 1,000 miles of major roads refurbished compared to the A9, please, or the 20 times offshore wind capacity that we have generated since we've been in office, or 18 million households with full fibre broadband. How is their broadband rollout going? Hospitals, mental health facilities, 50 new surgical hubs, new nuclear power stations, record investments in home and flood defences, and in the coming financial year, our R&D spend will be about £20 billion. In 2010, the SDSR green-lighted a couple of aircraft carriers. 6 years later, one was commissioned. That's a 65,000-tonne complex warship built through the Carrier Alliance, a wonderful example of the UK supply chain working together. In that same time frame, the SNP, in 6 years, are still building a couple of ferries. They are £308 million over budget. For context, that overspend figure is 3 times the original budget. And now I understand that these pioneering green vessels are going to run on diesel. The SNP government has been an unmitigated disaster for Scotland. They've been found out. They are incapable, incorrigible, and now they are in trouble. With regard to her final question, this is the House of Commons. Those are matters for the House of Lords.